Hello, Mrs. Preston. Dr. Gutierrez, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
This is Johnny's teacher, Mrs. Pacey.
Hi, Mrs. Pacey.
Hi, nice
Hi,
to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. So we're here today to discuss Johnny's linguistic performance after our diagnostic assessment last week, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Johnny is my son. He's 7 years old, and I'm concerned about the way he's speaking in school and at home.
Yes, I have Johnny in my second grade class, and I feel that he's using much slang in the classroom, which I feel is negatively affecting his literacy test performance. For example, he's beginning to write the way he speaks.
Okay. Yes, after my assessment and initial meeting with Johnny, I was able to quickly recognize that he's speaking what we use vernacular or African American dialect. And actually, let me just read you what this means. African American vernacular English is not an impoverished version of more standard English dialects. Rather, it is a separate but equivalent system as complex and rule governed as standard English, but with some alternative rules and conventions. With that said, first let me try to get a little bit of history of your family dynamics. Who does he live with at home? What language is spoken at the home, and so forth?
Okay, we just moved into Brooklyn several months ago from Texas.
Okay.
And I feel that his speech is being influenced by his classmates and children in his classroom. We live at home with my husband. We speak English. My husband works full-time, so I'm the one primarily at home with Johnny. We never had this problem with Johnny before. He's picking up this slang language, and I would like him to start using standard English at home and at school instead of this new dialect.
Okay, great, thank you.
And at school, I feel like he's trying to fit in with the other children. That's why he's speaking the way he is, which I think is ultimately affecting his literacy performance by his slang. I also received his literacy scores from his previous school in Texas, and he did amazing on his test. So I really do think it's the dialect that he's beginning to use in school, which is negatively impacting his test scores.
Okay, great. That makes a lot of sense because actually there is a direct correlation between literacy skills depending on dialect. What I would like to do is talk to you both about bidialectism and how we can go about improving Johnny's speech in the classroom and at home as well. As you know, there are several dialects, and it is very important to recognize that not one is better than another. However, within our schools, I understand that you're concerned for wanting Johnny's to speak using direct standard dialect, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you mean by standard dialect?
Well, first let's start with dialect. Dialect means a variation of a language. For example, some people say pie, whereas others people say pizza, but they're referring to the same thing. And
I have noticed that kids in my class use different terminology to refer to the same thing. Instead of using standard English, they say nah instead of no, and ain't for aren't.
Correct. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. A standard dialect is the norm in which I understand is your long-term goal for Johnny, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So now that I know what a dialect is, can we talk about Johnny and how we want him to progress towards standard American English?
Sure. Why don't we begin by discussing the language sample I obtained from Johnny at last week's initial meeting. And let me take a look here. Like I said, Johnny he's speaking using what we call African American English. One pattern of that dialect, which I noticed, is the use of some substitutions. For example, Johnny said this for this, or birthday for birthday. Is that something he does at the home as well?
Yes.
Okay. He's also using multiple negations. For example, Johnny during the language sample, he said it's not raining no more. He also demonstrated final consonant deletion. For example, he said he ba instead of he's bad.
So you're saying that Johnny has a language disorder?
No, absolutely not. We call this a language difference. It's not a disorder. Actually, the American Speech and Hearing Association's position on this issue states that it is important to distinguish between those aspects of linguistic variation that represent the diversity of the English language from those that represent speech, language, and hearing disorders.
Okay, and this language difference, that would explain why his literacy scores are so low.
How will we go about handling this language difference so that Johnny can perform well on his literacy exams in school?
Well, I did come up with a treatment plan, and my treatment plan for Johnny mostly focuses on teaching him grammar. We're going to work from the basics, and then we're going to work up. We are also going to focus on the morphological and morphosyntactic systems, which that basically just means like the final consonant deletion, the use of plurals, the possessives, the negation, and the subject-verb agreement, and so forth.
Of course, we do try teaching standard grammar in school, but I understand it is extra difficult for those that are bidialectal to learn the
Yes.
correct grammar.
Correct. With your grammar lessons in school and Johnny seeking speech and language therapy, his literacy skills should improve greatly.
Thank you. I do understand that not one dialect is better than the other, but I really want him to use the standard dialect in hopes of him improving his literacy test scores. What would a typical session with Johnny look like? What type of activities will you be doing with him for his grammar?
Well, we'll begin by focusing on Johnny's metalinguistic awareness. That's just basically for him to be aware of his speech. And I plan for him to become aware of his dialect by doing activities such as retelling a story and other various reading activities. I will also frequently record his answers so he can be aware of his language variations.
We have been focusing on main idea and supporting detail in school, so he should be able to do that.
Okay, good.
And what else is part of your treatment plan?
I also plan to give Johnny a wide assortment of exercises that include correcting ungrammatical sentences to standard English. We will discuss each answer and why they were considered ungrammatical. Throughout the sessions, I will be continuously assisting Johnny to substitute words and phrases into standard American English, as this is your primary concern.
Yes. And should I correct him at home when he's speaking ungrammatically?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I would like you to be part of our sessions so you can carry over what we do in our sessions to the home environment. And you as well, you're more than welcome to attend the sessions.
Thank you. I have a question. Is there anything else I can do in the classroom besides extra grammar lessons for Johnny in order to improve his overall dialect?
Sure. I would say maybe story retelling. Anything you can do to increase the casual conversation between you and Johnny, that would be great, or between Johnny and his peers as well. And then if you'd like, you can go back and correct those.
Okay, great. Thank you. It was great meeting with you.
It was great meeting with you too.
I will definitely attend the sessions with Johnny and hope that his literacy skills improve.
Great, that's awesome. I do believe that you're taking the right steps towards achieving Johnny's long-term goal, since this is your primary concern. I would like to meet with the both of you again, let's say in about a month, just to discuss Johnny's progress and see how he's doing in a month from today.
Okay.
Okay?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Thank you for meeting with me again. It's nice seeing you again, and for following up with Johnny. So far, everything's been going smoothly in our sessions, and I would like to know how it's going at home and in the classroom.
I'm very proud of Johnny. I've noticed quite a positive difference in our everyday conversation toward his usage of standard English.
Okay, great. What about his language at school?
You know, I am so impressed with Johnny's improvement and his most recent test scores. I actually brought a few tests and written assignments with me to show you today.
Thank you. Let's take a look. Okay, this is awesome. Do you want to explain a little bit more?
That is Johnny's latest writing sample, which I was just so proud of. And I think his grammar and his proper sentence structure was great. He's making a huge improvement, which I think will dramatically increase his test scores for literacy.
That's great. Good news, definitely.
It's clear that Johnny is making a conscious effort at home to speak using standard American English.
I agree. I think despite the way his peers are speaking, it's clear that he's now more aware of his dialectal differences and is working towards switching over to standard American English in the classroom.
Great. I'm happy to hear the progress. Are you still interested in Johnny coming in for more therapy sessions?
I definitely would like Johnny to continue meeting with you
Okay.
for him to continue using his standard American English.
Okay,
And
great.
I will continue to update you on test scores and his overall performance in school.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming in today. Again, we'll keep in touch.
Definitely.
You're more than welcome to sit in during the sessions as you have been, and so are you.
Thank you.
And then I think maybe we should meet probably once a month just to see how he's doing and how he progresses.
Okay.
Great,
Okay,
thank you.
You're very
Thank you
welcome.
so much.